And if you're thinking, but that's illegal under HIPAA, right? Well, no. As one researcher pointed out, the medical information that you relay to your physician is highly protected, but if you go to a medical website and search for terms like HIV or abortion, that information is not protected at all. It's a system that seems ripe for abuse before you learn that some data brokers have offered lists such as suffering seniors, payday loan central, Hispanic, or even help needed, I am 90 days behind on bills.
Now, that is, of course, John Oliver in one of his episodes, I think just about like 3 or 4 weeks ago, talking about data brokers and the ridiculous amount of data that they have and do sell concerning what you get up to in terms of your internet browsing and all that. Now, look, this is a concern in a lot of different areas. He touched on several of them there. But in the wake of the SCOTUS announcing that they're apparently going to be absolutely destroying Roe v. Wade and potentially any number of other rights that you've had throughout your life, rights to privacy in different aspects of your life. These data brokers have had renewed focus. So certainly timely episode by John Oliver. And now, did you know that there's all sorts of private data about your potential visits to facilities that might offer reproductive services that could be sold incredibly cheaply? So Vice did a write-up just a couple days ago about a website called SafeGraph. It's one of these data brokers that compiles information and sells it. And look at what they were able to get for just $160. So they found information related to visits to clinics that provide abortions, including Planned Parenthood specifically. What you can get is information about groups of people who visited the facilities, where they came from, how long they stayed at these facilities, and where they went to afterward. And if that potentially includes their private homes and things like that, well, I guess that's what you get for your $160. And a researcher who does work on cybersecurity had to say about this, it's bonkers dangerous to have abortion clinics and then let someone buy the census tracts where people are coming from to visit that abortion clinic. This is how you dox someone traveling across state lines for abortions, how you dox clinics providing this service. And SafeGraph, by the way, is just one of the organizations that up until thankfully this was reported on was providing this information. So what they do is that they get data from the SDKs, the software development kits of a number of different apps that you've probably either knowingly or unknowingly allowed to track you. Apps that have nothing to do with any of this. Ostensibly, you'd have no reason to believe that you had to fear that these apps were collecting your data, but they do. And then they sell it to places like SafeGraph, who then sells it to other people. They collect information from many different apps, and that can infringe on your privacy rights in any number of different things. And from any number of different sources, by the way. It could be a prayer app or a weather app. Like many of these apps, by the way, that could become very popular, that might be free or cheap to purchase, are basically just sort of frosting on the cake, and the cake is collecting and selling your data. So now, Viviana, with concerns about not just abortion being made illegal, but states trying to criminalize going to a state where it is legal, this is just one more reason to be worried about their newfound ability to do that.
This is like the perfect storm of problems plaguing the US, right? Like the fact that our data is for sale and that our information, our data is probably the most sought after commodity currently worldwide. Everyone wants to know what everyone's buying, what they're looking at, what catches their attention. So this goes right into it. Of course, you have the people out there who are wanting to do bad things and punish people who are trying to get healthcare. I don't even want to call it reproductive care, John. I just want to call it healthcare, because it really, we don't know what people are going to be, what sort of care they're going to be getting when they go to an abortion, when they go to a Planned Parenthood clinic, if they're going to get an abortion or if they're just going to get birth control or if they just have HPV. Like I don't know. And the fact that people are going to be nefariously looking through this and buying this data. There's a lot of really extremist organizations that are really passionate about this cause and will kill people. I mean, they've done it to doctors, they've attacked people, they do doxing on people. I mean, obviously in states like Texas, where they're trying to criminalize it to the point where you can make money off of whistleblowing on somebody just thinking about getting an abortion. Really, really ugly stuff. I'm glad that this company decided to kind of not allow that to be accessible to the public. I know that they had made a statement saying that, it is data that's also used by researchers that can help and bring information and help people kind of determine what resources are being used or are needed in the community. But we shouldn't be just allowing anyone to buy this information. If you're a university and you have researchers, maybe there's a process that they can apply to get some of this information, but the actual data of people's addresses and where they go, that's not really important, is it? So it is concerning. I'm glad that they made some steps to sort of backtrack on that, but like you said, it wasn't until after they were found out.
Yeah. By the way, look, I'm sure there are some legitimate purposes to some of this. The issue is that it exists in a context where so many people don't even know that this is what the apps are doing. That's what these data brokers rely on, is the fact that people are ignorant of that. It might say in the terms of service that it'll do this, and they purposefully make them incredibly convoluted and long so that people won't read them. And regular people should not have to read a massive legalese-filled document to know whether they might eventually be thrown in jail for going to Planned Parenthood. And that is really the concern here. So SafeGraph says they're not gonna do this anymore. That's great. Hopefully every other one of the data brokers that does this will have a Vice write-up, because that's apparently the only way we can get them to do what's right. And by the way, stay tuned for if SafeGraph eventually reverses on this in 6 months or a year.
Yeah, or 6 days.
Attention to it, or 6 days.
Exactly.
But the concern is, so it's going to be made illegal. That's certainly what it looks like. But remember, it's not just that. It's also many of these states have instituted these bounty hunter formulations for how to do these laws. So like it costs $160 to get this data. Maybe to get other people's private, internet search histories might cost a little bit of money. So you might think, well, are people really going to be trying to track everyone down? Well, I don't know. Maybe if you offer them $10,000.
Yeah, sure they will.
Exactly.
They'll quit their
They're
job.
financially incentivizing. Exactly. And so you could have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people whose livelihood becomes becoming digital spies that try to track down and get either like think about it. With that data, could they track down the Uber drivers or something that might bring them to it? There's obviously so many concerns here. And again, nobody was one of the things that John Oliver was hoping for in the segment that he did was that Congress would start to take these data brokers seriously, but they didn't previously. This is just another added layer of this that needs to be taken into account. But we don't expect that the Democrats are going to pass literally anything, let alone something technical like this.
Data is big business. They are not going to stop what they are going to do. And they barely, remember when it was like, well, should we even warn people that we're taking their data? They barely, and you still have to jump through hoops to not have your data accessed, right? And that's even difficult. And how benign, a weather app? Oh, what's the weather? Oh, its intent is to track me? Or a prayer app? I mean, how duplicitous is that? It's really ugly. But we live in this litigious society where this government, when you base rules and regulations just on legal. Oh, well, if they sign a paper, then it's okay. Well, where's the morality in all of this? If you sign it, same thing with our healthcare, right? Oh, well, we gave you the 40,000 page, booklet that explains what's covered and what isn't. You're supposed to know everything. This is now the burden is being placed on the consumer to protect our data, to protect our rights. I mean, even to protect our health information, which is protected constitutionally and through HIPAA federally. So I don't understand how this is all happening without any regulations. And I do think the government does need to step in, because if HIPAA protects our healthcare, then this shouldn't be allowed at all. Then they shouldn't be able to track any medical facility. I mean, fine, you want to know that I went to Pollo Loco and got a burrito? Great. But I don't want anyone knowing where I go to the doctor, where I go to see my mental health care. All of that shouldn't be allowed to be accessible. And if researchers need it, then they should have a special way to be able to access that data that's private and it doesn't infringe on anybody's constitutional rights.
So look, there's obviously a lot more to this than we can get into just this clip, but it's a reminder that there is a lot that has changed from the last time that abortion was widely illegal, and now it will be the second time. A lot has changed. Obviously, the vast majority of people don't want this. That's one of the undemocratic parts of what's changed. But the tech landscape is totally different. Their ability to surveil you and track you.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they used to send a girl away for summer, and then nobody knew anything. That's not possible now. We live in this digital world, so we're in a really tough time.
So I would just recommend a few things that if you're on your phone, maybe you want to quickly do. So one would be going into the settings for the location tracking and shutting that off to whatever extent you think you can. That's obviously important. And while you're doing it, definitely go to the YouTube app and ask to get all the notifications for the damage report, because otherwise you might not get them. And to allow YouTube notifications to go through, because sometimes when they update the software, they stop that from happening. So if you've noticed that you don't get notifications for like our live streams and videos, that might be why, and easily fixed.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.